inside the Crazy Ant Farm. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Oh, we are living the dream as always, living the dream, and we are super excited to talk to you because we have watched the film and wow. As filmmakers ourselves, I have to say we were really impressed with, from the filmmaking aspect, how original this was and how the unique techniques that they used that went into this film and just everything behind the scenes of how this thing came together. So can't wait to talk to you about it and get your thoughts on it and how you got involved with it and everything. We'll just to tease a little bit before we get there. It's aptly named.
Yeah, it's like exactly what it is.
It's exactly what it is. Exactly. But what we like to do just to kind of start off, though, for our listeners and people that may not be familiar with you, is just kind of dive in and talk about how you kind of got started in the industry. Was it something that you knew you always kind of wanted to do, or did you kind of fall into it, or what?
Yeah, when I was a kid, about 8 years old, I saw the first movie in the theater, my first film with my grandmother, and I was so blown away by it. And she told me, "Oh, you can do that. You can be an actor." And she sort of put this seed in my mind when I'm like a little girl. And then I did some theater camps that she put me into. And then I was a gymnast and a cheerleader for a really long time. There was so much performance involved in that. And when I grew out of that and I wasn't doing that any longer, I went full-fledged into the acting, and I lived in New York City, and I like met all of these great people that just sort of like geared me towards the right acting coach, the right headshot person. And back then it was like all in-person auditions and stuff. So I got started like pretty young. I was really lucky. And I didn't really know what the struggle was with acting because I came from that cheerleading and gymnastics background, and all my first jobs were all for those kind of roles. So I was like, and I just happened to be that way, that I auditioned for all these cheerleader gymnast roles, and I got all of them. They were all like my first 3 auditions ever.
Nice.
So that started me with a lot of confidence, I think. I was like, oh, this is just what I do. This is so for me.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like any challenge. And then, of course, after a lifetime of it, there's definitely so many ups and downs, but yeah, I've been going at it for a long time. I'm still like, I'm waiting for that big leading role. I always am the supporting character, which I really like playing supporting parts too.
Sure.
I love that. I mean, it's always good to, have the dreams high, have the aspirations. One of our dreams and aspirations, it's our mantra. It's called Bigger Than the Mouse, which means one day our company bigger than Disney. So we are right there with you. Continue moving forward and continue, having that support system around you, because that's very important too when you're trying to break into the entertainment industry. This podcast is for up-and-comers trying to break into it. So we always like to give a little tidbits and advices to all of those people who are trying to navigate their own path and their own journey and might find some tips and helpful utilities through your conversation and this conversation that we're having right now. So talk about, your support system going through the process, because it sounds like you had a lot of success in the very beginning, but when there's those pitfalls, when there's those auditions that you don't get, how do you lean on your support system for them to help you get through to the next audition?
Yeah, I would say that when you studying in any class setting for acting and community building, that's really the best place to meet your people, because over time you become very close and you're very vulnerable, and they're all doing the same thing you're doing. So you all rub off on each other a little bit, and like you get some experience from each other. And so I think that's one great way to sort of go into it with the open mind of like seeing what everyone is doing, and don't be afraid to ask for help and direction.
Right.
Because direction is important. Making mistakes is easy. So just ask. It doesn't hurt. So there's that. And then also, like, if you don't look at an audition like, oh, I didn't get that part, I mean, there's so many reasons why you wouldn't possibly get the part.
That's right.
And it's such an unfair thing that they never really talk to you about it. Like, we don't get feedback really often. I mean, very, very rarely. And so that definitely can make you feel like, oh, am I just spinning my wheels? But I think as long as you're continuing to grow in your work, like going to the classes,
yep,
and continue to do the scene work and break stuff down and like find it in your body more, it's going to reflect in your auditions, and you don't like have to get ready to audition. You're like, right. It's just what you do every day. It's just another day. So yep. When you bring that aspect to it, I think that it takes the weight away.
You know, I'm glad that you brought up the aspect of you don't always get the feedback, and sadly you don't always get the call to tell you didn't get it. You're just left hanging, and you just you don't know until you hear somebody else got the role. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think anybody that's been on that side of it has a better understanding when they get to the other side how to treat people, right? I know we go out of our way, even when we're casting for our projects. Even if I have to email 150, 200 people, I email each and every one of them to say, hey, you didn't get it, but we loved what you did, and we're going to keep this for this. And, because I hate being left hanging and not knowing. And we do give, if we really enjoyed the performance, but it wasn't just what we needed at that point, I do give that feedback. I say, hey, you nailed this. You were great at this. You were great at that. And, this, we just decided to go in a different direction. Because I've been on the other side too, and Logan has too. We've done the acting part of it also. And so we've been in that position where, was I good? Was I not good? What happened? What's going on? So I'm glad you brought that up, because, there's a lot of parts of this industry that you're not taught. That people do, the business side of it, the process of the casting and how that, you're basically just thrown in there, and you have to kind of learn it on your own. Even when you go to film school, they don't teach you that stuff. It's just kind of, so that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
these interviews,
totally.
Right? To put it out there and go, hey guys.
I'm so glad you guys.
By the way, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I'm curious. What was the movie that you saw at 8 years old that you were like, this is it? This is what I want to do?
The Titanic.
Titanic. Oh, okay. All right. I'm a wee bit older than you, but I was the same way. I also was 8 years old. Mine was Superman, the first Superman movie.
Oh,
and
really?
The tagline was, "You'll believe a man can fly." And I did. I was 8 years old, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to make people fly. I want to make magic like that. And from that moment, I knew. Same thing. So you're a little bit further along, Titanic, but it's okay.
I saw the character of Rose in those beautiful dresses, and like having these people all look at her like she's like this thing, and I just was so in awe and of their relationship, and I was like, oh my God, like I want to live in that time, in that era, and how do I do that?
Yeah.
And yeah, it started there.
Fantastic.
Too. Yeah, we have a lot in common. When is your birthday?
4/14/70. So. Yeah.
Oh my God, 4/14/70. So you're Aries.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
Got to go deep into it.
Oh yeah, no. Got to dive into the astrology.
Sun, all the things. That's so funny.
I know I live in New York, but I speak LA.
Oh yeah, right. Exactly. It's so prevalent. I mean, it's everywhere now. So you're right. You're right.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Well, with the state of the industry that we're in, things are ever evolving, and this film was very forward thinking as far as technology and different things like that. And I don't know how privy you are, how much you keep up to date with like the mergers and buyouts of big companies and things like that, because Skydance just recently is getting close to signing the deal over and buying out Paramount to where they'll have the controlling ownership and all of that good stuff. And there's all of these things happening in the industry right now where they're heavily relying on sequels, reboots, established IP. And as someone who is going out for all of these different parts, how do you see these things? Do you think it's a good thing to keep going back to established movies that were already like cult classics, or would you like to see more story-driven films? What's your thought process on that?
Well, I have a very just like my own feelings behind
Right.
it that just reflects what I like and my taste. But I really like I like true life stories.
Yeah.
I like original stories, like written comedies, dramas, thrillers, anything that has like grit and mind behind it. The remakes for me are always a little disappointing because there's this magic that you had when you watched the first one that like is kind of stripped away.
Yeah.
Like Wonka, for example, was such a great movie. The ones that I remember seeing as a kid to me was like everything. Now when I watch them side by side, of course this Wonka is much more pizzazzy and
Right.
bigger, but I liked the original one better still. So like I couldn't even finish watching the film. So
Yeah.
I almost think it's lazy when they want to just do sequel after sequel and make the next one because it's like, oh, well, this worked, so let's keep going. I understand on a financial level when you have a name built up that big and you know that you're going to have those sales just because of the name. It's like hard not to fall into that, to do that. So I feel like for your company, if it was like, if I was the CEO of the company, I would say we're going to have two departments, our independent film department and our like studio film department.
Yes.
Right.
And we would do like the bigger budgeted, like Pixar or whatever reboots, Mary Poppins. And then the other one, we would like bring in like the cool filmmakers from around the world, like, and their gritty stories. And like, I get into stories a lot.
See,
I like seeing new filmmakers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we love that because under the same philosophy, we think the same way. Those tentpole movies allow you to make those movies that probably won't make any money, but they're going to be great films, right? And that's what the purpose of those tentpole movies are, in my opinion, is to allow you to showcase filmmakers and talent and art that's out there. And okay, so let's dive into it. Lissa's trip, because this is just that. This is a story-driven film with no script, which is even more just kind of like I thought was very interesting. It's a story-driven film with no script,
I know.
and no crew. So it was very innovative. It was like, the brilliant mind behind it was like, hey, there's all this change in technology, and we're seeing, you don't need this and you don't need that, and there's AI built into this and there's AI built into that. What if we just play? What if we just see what we can do? And that's basically what happened with you guys. And this whole film, for anybody who isn't familiar with it, was shot with no crew. It's him and you guys. And all of the effects, other than, I think, one green screen thing at the end when she's flying or whatever, but it's all AI kind of generated in post-production. Wow. Talk about the process of, first of all, getting onto a film like that, and what were your initial thoughts when he was explaining it to you? Were you like, wait, what? Or were you just totally excited to dive into something like that?
Well, it's interesting because my friend who plays the lead actress, Sophia, she asked me to play the part with her.
Nice.
It was her and the director's like story creation. They created the whole thing. And so essentially I just jumped right in because it's my friend, and Jeffery was lovely and all the people that they were getting were lovely. And then I helped them with some locations. Like I had some people around that had different homes and places we could go to shoot. And so I helped in that way too.
Nice.
Like everyone was kind of all hands on deck who was there. But there was really barely anybody there. And we were also doing our own sound, which I found to be very interesting because there was a lot of ADR we had to do. But if you can do ADR well, so what? I mean, it's a bigger job if you don't get the sound on the day, but whatever.
Right.
Like a lot of it, because we had our phones with a lav, and we were like all going, okay, click together, and then starting the scenes. And then we would like all come out and click. So we were all taking our own sound.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Some of it actually worked, and some of it we needed to redo, but it was good source material. And yeah, so like everything was sort of gritty like that. And I think what was fun about that is that it was almost easier to shoot a lot because we don't have so many people that are organizing stuff and moving around. Like somebody like to help me with your batteries and like holding some stuff, but like otherwise it was fast. Like we were like going and moving and we were improvising. We would do rehearsals like theater and improvise and like get into it. And like while we're working, the director would be like walking around with his camera, seeing like what he wants. And then we would shoot it and then move on. And it was great. Just like, yeah, he was, and I was not sure what it was going to be in the end. Well, I was like, okay, let's see what he does with it.
What did you think of the final product? Cause wow.
Oh my God, I thought it was so beautiful. And I think my favorite, there's so many things I love in this film, but one of my favorite parts is when she's coming out of the trip a bit and still lingering. Yeah. That conversation she has with the bird and she sort of comes back. I just think that energy felt so real after everything she had experienced. And so I liked that part a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And it seems like such a freeing experience because it seems like from what I understand, he basically gave you a concept of the scene and just basically said, go, right? And I mean, to be able to try to put together different things and be able to stretch that creative muscle, that is freeing for an actor because I mean that's basically all we do in class every single day, trying to put the scenes together to where like something genuine and authentic comes out of it. So I can only imagine like the amount of just fun. I feel like this film set was just a whole bunch of fun, right?
Yeah, it was so fun, and you said it, like it's just freeing. Yeah, running around and being able to say what you feel in the moment. Not have to make sure you're saying the line. But staying on topic, like, I mean, I love improv. I think it's such a great exercise in general to just, like, understand your drive and your focus.
Right. Well, so we should tell everybody, the trip is exactly what it sounds like. It's an acid trip, LSD, and she's like, she accidentally takes too much, and she didn't realize she was taking it at all, and so she goes on, and she has an audition, and she's got to try to get to this audition in Burbank while she's tripping out, and I thought it was hilarious, though. You play the best friend, and I like, too, how there's kind of a backstory, but they don't really go into the backstory, but it's very evident that maybe her and Mom, because Mom's the manager, there was just a point where she couldn't take it anymore and she has to move in with the best friend because Mom's driving her crazy. They never really go into it, but it's evident what happened, right? Mom's relying on her for a livelihood, and she's not getting the gigs, and she's like, in this pressure cooker kind of a situation. I thought that was really well done. They never really address it, but it's evident with the scenes, the way they play out, what's going on there. But I will say your scene because you play the best friend, when you realize that she's taken it and how much she's taken, when you're trying to explain to her what's going to happen to her is hilarious to me. Yeah, I mean, when you're referencing like, oh my God, no, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, and then you can't do that, you can't go there. I thought it was hysterical, because I feel like that's what a best friend would do. It's like, I can't let you leave the house. You don't understand what's about to happen. But then you also found the humor in it, right? When she does go into the bathroom, you're literally laughing like, oh my God, she took something, she's going to be in so trouble. So to find the humor in the situation was also really funny.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it would be, I couldn't even imagine what that would be like to have an audition and have that happen. Like, that would just be like the worst day ever. Oh, and I wouldn't go. Yeah. And I would be like calling in sick, begging to do it tomorrow.
Yeah. And for her to get there and the audition be what the audition was, even more hysterical when you're tripping. So it's like, what is going on right there? Like, so good.
That audition scene was one that I helped with. Also, I did the casting on those actors.
Oh, nice.
Obviously, the director picked them, but I suggested them.
Nice. Yeah. They were great. They were hilarious. It's like,
the director and the casting director.
That's so good.
So fun. Well, it seems like you have a lot of passion and a lot of interest in behind the scenes work. So, I mean, do you see yourself doing more behind the scenes work, like writing, directing, producing more?
Yeah, so I do that. I've been making some films since 2016 and putting them out there. I've written and directed 3 that are finished. And then I'm on my 4th one right now. I'm literally editing all day today, which is why I'm kind of look a little messy.
Oh, no, you look great.
Like
you look great.
Just working for hours just
it's all
now,
good.
And I'm like, oh my God, I have this call right now. I have to do it now. It is what it is.
If this is looking bad, I think you're doing all right. You're okay.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, so I'm working on this, so I was so inspired by what we did with Lissa's trip that that it was like all by himself how he did it. Right. So my friend and I, we got this amazing camera, and I just obsessed over the camera. I've never been the DP, but I know how a DP works. Like, I know it. I've been around all of them, and like, I love watching them, and I study what they do. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this whole movie by myself, do all the lighting, do the camera, get the girl. So I like wrote this script, and I shot for 9 days, 15 hours each day.
Wow.
All handheld.
Nice.
With a monitor on there and the mic, because I don't really have mic, but I was like, okay, I'll ADR it if I miss it. And I shot so much. So now I'm editing, and it's looking so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I am really into like the full picture filmmaking. I find it to be so fun.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, you did one that kind of pokes fun at the industry, did you not? Like a behind the scenes kind of like I'm interested in that one because we're writing. Ours is dramatic though; it's not a comedic look, but it is a drama series that we're writing currently about the industry and taking stabs at what's going on at the industry and how people are trying to figure it all out. So I love anytime anybody is gutsy enough to go, hey, I'm trying to make a living in this industry, but I'm going to take a stab at it anyway. Like, so that's awesome that you did that.
Yeah, it's about this actress who was like America's sweetheart, and it's not her dream. Her dream is to be like an Oscar actress. So, but her rival is like this Nepo baby Oscar actress, and she's like, so they have this jealousy. Yeah. And she's finally nominated for her first Oscar. So it's like a mockumentary of her and her team going through the Oscar race and like campaigning for an Oscar. But then she ends up like committing a crime because she goes so far. It's a comedy. It's really kitschy and funny, and it's like. It makes fun of more like it's making fun of the industry a little, but it's more like day in the life through this perspective. So,
that's really cool. I mean, just to pull inspiration from anywhere, I feel like definitely helps out in the long run. And I mean, they always say write what you know. And I mean, with being in the industry, it always is so easy to write about the industry. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But what we like to do at the end of our interviews is hit you with a little popcorn questions. Now, these are questions that are meant to be fun. Some of them can be a little introspective, I guess you could say. But the first one is, what was the funniest moment or most memorable moment on this film set or any film set that comes to mind?
On the one that I'm shooting right now?
Or any that you've done,
comes to mind? The most memorable moment? Oh my God, there's so many. I mean, I would say there's so much stuff that's jumping out to me. My biggest one, the first one that came to me was being in India. No, I wasn't in India yet. I was in Manhattan shooting the Bollywood movie. And I think it's most memorable because it was like one of my first times I ever did anything really professionally, and I was one of the leads in this like big studio movie, and I was the only American girl. Everyone was Indian and speaking Hindi.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were all so amazing. I made such great friends on this set. I got the whole script in English, and I got there, and like we start rehearsing this very big major scene. Like I start on the day of doing like the climax of the film, and I have lines where I'm interjecting, and they start rehearsing and speaking all in Hindi, and I was like, had an out of body experience, and I was like, wait, I literally studied this script inside and out. Like, thank God I did as an American, like, you know, but I was not expecting it to speak Hindi, and like the director was like, well, what did you think? Like, this is a Bollywood film. I'm like, I don't know what I thought. I think I'm just a naive child here. I don't know.
Yeah. Talk about a curveball there.
Right? Well, that would be memorable. I mean, that's a good one. That's not a story many people can tell. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, okay, so this next one, and you may have answered it already, but maybe you have a different one. We always like to say, if you could live in any film or television show, which one would it be and why?
One that I've done, or just that exists?
No, just any film or television show that you could live in. Which one would it be and why?
Oh, that is such a question. I feel like it would be like The Crown or something.
Oh, ooh. Okay. All right.
I think because I just love that era. It feels so simple, like without all the phones and electronics.
Yeah.
Nicer clothes, well thought out.
Nice.
Stuff. I don't know. I like that.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm always a big fan of period pieces too. So to be able to go back anywhere and, you know, period of time, I think is really cool.
It would be a period one for sure. That, or like if it was my biggest nightmare of like Pulp Fiction or something.
Ooh, all right.
I want to
right. You know,
exactly. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. If you could work with anyone, who would it be?
Kate Winslet.
Oh, you will.
Of course.
Which brings it full circle, right? Back to Titanic. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
that makes total sense.
I actually started making a movie that hopefully I'll still make it, but at one point I had Billy Zane attached.
Wow. Nice.
I was like eating lunch with Billy Zane, and I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about the Titanic the whole time. I didn't tell him, but I was like, oh my God, you're him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to get a little deep. We're going to get a little. So if you could go back and tell your 10-year-old self something, what would it be?
Don't leave New York.
Oh, interesting.
There you go.
Okay. Don't leave New York.
Yeah, it's a weird one, I think, but I had my life drastically changed when I moved out of New York City, and then when I came back, it all kind of went back.
Interesting.
But it was like this vortex of time that I'm like, what happened there? Like I was living in Los Angeles, obviously,
right?
And I just feel so alive in the city. Like every single day, I'm creating and doing things, and there I felt so difficult to do that. Everything just felt so, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
There was this energy where I felt stuck a lot. And part of me wishes I never, not so much don't leave New York, don't fire your agent.
There you go.
That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like I had the best agent in New York City, and she told me don't leave and don't go to LA, and I was like, I'm going and I'll get a new agent. Like that was the biggest mistake I made in my youth.
Well, there you go. That's good advice. That's good advice.
It's good advice. Yeah,
it's great advice.
Just stay, unless they're not doing anything. But if they're doing stuff, you're getting things, do not leave.
Yip. Good. Solid.
That's good.
That is. The grass is not greener on the other side.
Yeah. I love that.
But trust your path, and if things happen, they happen, and they all happen for a reason, because had I not done all of that, I probably wouldn't be a filmmaker today. That way, I'd probably be like so busy on those shows she was getting me all the time.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Right?
Exactly.
And not making my own art in my own voice. So
love that.
It was meant to be.
Exactly.
It was meant to be. I know it's always so interesting to look at like each big step in your life and be like, what if I just took this step out? What if I just rearranged a few things? Like, how would that have turned out? Yeah. It's always so fun to kind of think about that, but you also can't get lost in that because that will turn into like an ongoing snowball thing.
Like, resentment.
Well, and
exactly.
We talk about it all the time too. I feel like we're not really in control. It's you will end up where you're supposed to end up, and if you go the wrong way, it's going to put you back. The universe is going to go, no, that was good, but you got to go back over here because this is where you're going, right? I truly believe that you can mess up as many times as you want or make as many mistakes as you want, but it's going to correct it because where you're supposed to be is where you will be, and that's
destiny.
Exactly.
That's
and with
so
the the fifth and final question, are you happy with your career so far?
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, I'm really fortunate. I've had a lot of amazing experiences, and I can't wait to have more of them. But so far, so good.
Perfect.
Well, fantastic.
It's not perfect.
No, but your answer was perfect because you're appreciative of what you've done and what you have, but you know there's more and that you're excited for the future, and that is a great answer.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Of course. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show and getting a little crazy with us today. We really appreciate it. Yeah. And when the next film comes out, we'll definitely have to have you back on. Open invite. Please feel free to reach out anytime.
Of course.
We're going to follow you on all of our social media so we can stay connected and all the good things. But like social media, it's all about, where can people find you? So be sure to let everybody know.
Oh, please look at Taste the Vino. It's like a sommelier Instagram that I created, but it's actually my personal.
Nice. So you're a wine drinker?
I was.
Okay. All right.
Not so much anymore, but I used to really love traveling and tasting wine.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, that'll be an easy one to remember to tell people where to find you, so that's good.
Yeah, I only use Taste the Vino. I have used other things, and I just can't. I don't have the bandwidth for anything more than that. So it's just all there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Understandable. Well, listen, thank you so much again.
You guys back too.
Awesome.
Oh,
thank
sure.
you. Thank you. Thank you again. Take care, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is great.
All right.
Yeah, bye.
I feel inspired. Bye.
See ya.
Oh boy, I mean, it's always good to talk to other filmmakers trying to break into it, and especially in such an innovative way. I mean, being a part of such an interesting film set, to be like in the forefront of trying to make movies in a different way, I feel like is always very important.
Oh yeah, and it's so inspiring to hear. This is a woman that had an agent, was getting gigs, was getting on TV shows, and she's like, you know what? I want to be a filmmaker. I'm cool with this, but I want to make my own art. I want to do my own thing. I mean, I feel like that's an awful brave move because in this industry, I feel like if you're lucky enough to be getting gig after gig and getting on shows, and it's a risk to go, I want to just step back and make my own stuff. It's a real credit to her that she was willing and able to do that, and so far, been successful. So
Exactly, man. Exactly. Thank you again, Miss Williams, for coming on the show.